Happy New Year, everybody. Well, it's been about 22 days since the new year, but yeah, happy 2014 from us all here at the Game Riffers. So yeah, 2014. It's 2014 times the Game Riffers Arcade, or the Riff Table Arcade. 2014 times the Double RPG. 2014 times the 16-bit Jeff. 2014 times the FighterXaos. But at least it's not over 9,000 yet. Will we ever make it that way? I don't know. But hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Riff Table Arcade with yours truly, Double RPG. And here are the two fine, lovely young gentlemen who are joining me. It's FighterXaos and 16-bit Jeff. How you doing, guys?
Doing all right. I see you've been at a few auctions, huh?
Yeah.
At a few what?
Auctions.
Auctions? Oh, you think I'm an auctionator or whatever?
Yes.
Or an auctioneer or whatever it is.
We got 500 over here. We got 500 over here. Can we get 510?
Can we get 500 over there? The guy 1,000. Got 1,000. Yeah, thank you. 2,000 now. But at least I can hold my breath.
And sold to the weirdo with the glasses. You know, they always give you a weird adjective to describe you.
Mm-hmm.
But who's the one with the glasses though? We all wear glasses, so
crap! All three of us do.
All three of us do. So that's kind of a checkmate.
Oh boy!
Hey, how was your guys' New Year's?
It was good.
It's all right. You know, I didn't really do much hanging out, unfortunately. But it's good.
My trip was just brilliant. Oh man, I would love to go back to where I went to. But
that's good.
Yeah, but I do have a new place I'm going to in August, so that's going to be a lot of... No, it's not Tahiti, but it's St. Martin.
Oh,
what?
I know the joke that Jerry just
yeah, you got it. Yeah, Jeff got it.
Don't start me with that freaking show, man, please.
Yeah.
Agents of
S.H.I.E.L.D.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
A whole nother...
Oh, my goodness. Oh, jeez. I haven't even seen that show ever since the third episode. Has it been getting any better, or is it about the same?
It's gotten better, I will say that.
It's gotten better now, yeah.
That's
it fell off, and then on the Tahiti thing I was just talking about is when it got better. Although it wasn't what I wanted, but it's getting better.
Well, that's good to hear.
Sif's supposed to show up from Thor in a new episode.
I'm
Sif, yes.
My theory is still that we don't know yet, but I'm have this weird feeling that Coulson's still somewhat of a android, or even a what's it called?
Life model decoy?
Yeah, LMD, somewhat of an LMD.
Oh, so
yeah,
he's
they haven't explained
alive,
completely,
but his soul is essentially.
Yeah.
That's an interesting theory.
But this isn't the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, is it?
Of course, and it's in the Marvel universe,
sorry.
so not gonna expect anything new from Marvel, unless they do have some new TV shows coming out as well as after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daredevil was one of them.
Yeah, that's on Netflix. Daredevil, Power Man, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones. Is that her name?
Yep.
Jessica Jones. Interesting. Well, anyway, guys, we could talk about all our live stuff, but we still have a show to do. So, yes, and since we got back from Christmas, and since we're all starting for the new year, let's talk Nintendo talk for this episode. And we do have a very interesting topic to talk about because, as of recent, if most of you have already known about this, or few of you who don't know, Nintendo has announced, or Satoru Iwata from Nintendo has announced that Nintendo has revised their sales forecast for both the Wii U and the 3DS for their fiscal year 2014 because of them not going to meet their initial projections of what they thought the sales were going to be for that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Nintendo was originally planning to sell at least 9 million Wii U's in the fiscal year 2014, but their aimed projections as of now is 2.8 million. That's over 2/3, or over 66% of the initial amount.
Long story short, that's bad.
Yeah, that is bad. And there are lots of factors that relates to that, but we'll get into that very shortly. But Nintendo also revised their sales forecast for the 3DS from 18 million units to 13.5 million units. So that's like a 25%.
Not as bad, at least.
Yeah, it's not as
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as bad. But yeah, I mean, this I mean, did you guys expect that this would happen, or are you just shocked?
Who wants to go first? Okay, go first, Jerry.
With the Wii U, I'm not as shocked. With 3DS, I kind of am. I thought it was doing better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is what is still making them tons of money. Even if what I would love to know though about the Wii U, since people are saying, "Oh no, is Nintendo is losing money?" They're not. I don't think. What I mean by that is they're still. They ain't gonna go bankrupt anytime soon.
No! We need to get that right out of the way.
Yeah,
For all
exactly,
the naysayers and the doomists or doom and gloomists who like to, bring about doom towards the company. Well, guess what? Well, you failed again. They're not going anywhere. They're still a company that has money in the bank. They're the only company that's still profiting right now.
The 3DS is making them still way too much money for them to go anywhere near bankrupt.
Of course.
That's why I want to know, like, I know about the sales of the units, but I wonder if they're actually making a profit on Wii U still or not, or if they're losing money on the Wii U.
No, they're still losing money on the Wii U.
Ooh, and that's every unit that's sold currently?
Yes. It's still not profitable at the moment. I mean,
that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even profitable when they made the price cut.
Jeez. See, that's what I wanted to know because you were asking if it was a shock about this Wii U stuff. I was like, well, not kind of, but well.
Like, I think what you're trying to say is, and this is how I felt, that I expected the Wii U sales to be bad. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect it to be that bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jeff, thank you.
and I was actually kind of shocked. To be frank, with those two camps, I was more shocked with the 3DS than I was with the Wii U, because that's been Nintendo's bread and butter since that was released in 2011, and let's face facts, that was in the same situation that the Wii U was. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, Nintendo turned that around really quickly with the software that was demanded, a price cut, and a couple of goodies that enticed the early customer buyers that got the system to begin with at launch. Mm-hmm. But
yes.
Yeah, but going back to the Wii U, I was really shocked, and I don't know, people think I hate Nintendo. I don't. I love all three, but I did not want to see Nintendo in that dire situation. It's not drastic that, like you said, that they're gonna go under, but it is disheartening. You know what I mean? It's really is sad to see them in that state. Yeah,
it is disheartening. But like I said, there's several things and why they're in this situation, and most notably, it's the marketing that didn't really do the talking to get units sold. But at the same time, I can understand why it wasn't marketed heavily, because you had big name games coming out that year, like BioShock Infinite, Grand Theft Auto 5, and even The Last of Us. Those are huge deals, or those were huge deals in 2013.
I agree.
And not to mention that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were coming out.
Shorts.
And most of you...
continue.
And most of you felt the same thing, is that that it probably would have been a good time, in between the big releases, to where they could probably pitch in some marketing or something, just to get the word out and maybe sell a little bit more than the current situation of where they're at right now.
Like a perfect time would have been around E3 of last year.
Yep, but you gotta remember, Last of Us came out.
Not true.
So, I got some other stuff, but I'll wait. Did we say what we said on that question?
But I think another thing is, too, I know a lot of people give them Nintendo flack for this, but let's be frank, this is their first HD console,
Yeah.
And people have been saying, oh, they should have caught up with this, caught up with learning how to make an HD game by now. While true, but, for a first time getting into HD development, I can understand, where they're trying to find that current, that steady factor to where they can actually, make, have a steady streamline of games come out, or, at a steady pace, like what they're doing for 2014. Basically, that, whatever it is, that Nintendo web framework, whatever engine, where they can actually, make their games a lot quicker than just having to, spend as much time trying to figure out how the technology works, essentially.
like in regards to a situation like that, there's really no right nor wrong answer. Both sides are valid. I agree. Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, I would like to just give off a few snippets, or I'm not going to read off all this from what I got from PlayerEssence.com about what Iwata says, but I'm going to just read just at least a few paragraphs to get you guys a little bit of an understanding of where this is all going with what they, announced in regards to their revised forecast. But anyway, and here it is. This is coming from Satoru Iwata, and this is a quote from him. We would like to explain the modifications of the full-year financial and dividend forecasts announced today, which was back this past Friday. We revised our full-year consolidated financial forecasts for the fiscal year ending March 31st of 2014 that we announced at the beginning of the fiscal year by estimating new net sales of 590 billion yen against the initially projected net sales of 920 billion yen. New operating loss of 35 billion yen against the initially projected operating profit of 100 billion yen. New ordinary income of 5 billion yen against the initially projected ordinary income of 90 billion yen, and new net loss of 25 billion yen against the initially projected net income of 55 billion yen. Foreign currency assumptions for the end of the fiscal year have been revised from 90 yen to 100 yen per US dollar, and from 120 yen to 140 yen per euro. Revised consolidated unit sales projections are, as outlined in Notice of Full-Year Financial Forecast and Dividend Forecast Modifications, 13.5 million units of the Nintendo 3DS hardware and 66 million units of the Nintendo 3DS software, 1.2 million units of the Wii hardware and 26 million units of the Wii software, and 2.8 million units of the Wii U hardware and 19 million units of Wii U software. There are no modifications of our initial projections for the DS hardware and software. And as for the estimated annual dividend, if the actual consolidated fiscal results are in line with our modified financial forecast, there will be no annual dividend per share. However, on the basis of our dividends paid in the last 2 years, we have set a minimum of 100 yen for the year-end and annual dividend per share for the fiscal year. So basically what he's trying to say is that with the yen as it's weak in currency as of right now, Nintendo had to resort to using or looking into the U.S. dollar and the euro to reduce losses within their operations for the year 2013, since the yen was really weak to begin with. So they had to resort to that factor, and that Iwata, in a sense, misread the Western market or all markets in general, and that's why they didn't meet their goal, as we mentioned, and the things that we talked about as to why they missed their goal. So what do you all have to say about this, basically? Just based on what's said in the article about the about the explanation.
I'm not trying to be rude, but when I first read it, I was like, no, really, Iwata? Really? You missed your goal? I'm not trying to be rude, but it's true.
That's what a lot of people's reactions were. That's why I'm laughing. I was like, yeah, a lot of
I know
said
it's sad to be like that, in that regard, but it's the truth. It's like they miss a lot, like we were talking about just now, but the marketing, like they should have had solid marketing since day one, since day one the system launched. Because I remember I was with my dad, and we were seeing a movie. This is like a month or two before the system originally launched, and we were seeing the trailer, and I had to tell my dad right then and there. He was confused if it was like a next gen console of Nintendo or it's just a current revision of the Wii. I'd have to tell him that was Nintendo's new console, like their successor. So yeah, it had poor marketing, but it did have some good features in it. It did have a really somewhat solid lineup, like a better lineup than what the Wii did when it originally launched. Like there was a lot of goods, but there were a lot of bad Nintendo should have looked at. It's like, okay, we need to do better this year. And sadly, there was some good and some one, but we'll get into that later. But at the main point of it is like, no, really, you missed them. You missed the points because you did.
Yeah, and I think another factor of how they could have avoided some of this, bad rep that they're getting within 2013 was that they should have been a bit more adamant with trying to, work with third parties to get their games out. I know people don't like the word exclusive, but it may have been, possibly a strong point for the system to actually get those games exclusive at first, like Rayman Legends, and that probably would have at least given it somewhat of a bump.
Yeah.
And because I feel they really missed, they really just kind of let them go with their own decision. They didn't really pressure them and say, hey, we're really serious about this. Release this first on our console and then wait till about at least a year to release it on the other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing I felt that really hurt. I mean, the why Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge performed poorly in terms of sales on the Wii U within the first few months, and then Tecmo Koei just immediately released that game on both the PS3 360 and just those two systems basically.
Well, that's a sad thing, because I think the reason why people didn't get the Wii U version was it was a revised version of a game that was released earlier in that year. If I recall correctly, the original game was launched in March of 2012. But at the same time, if it was a revised version, like the essential version of that original game, there should have been marketing. And let me clearly state this: I don't remember there any being televised marketing for that particular game, even for the Wii U when it was still exclusive.
No, and when the Wii first came out, they actually had televised marketing. We Right to Pray.
Yeah.
That was a huge deal back then. That's why the Wii actually managed to sold well, and it managed to get the word out to the casual market on how to, get many units sold around that time. That's why they managed to profit every year, was because of those marketing pitches.
That's the thing. The Wii had a clear message in regards to its marketing, while the Wii U was saying you can do this and do that, but what it could do? It could do these games that the PS3 to 360 could do.
They really didn't even explain that, or
exactly.
If they put in emphasis with marketing the Wonderful 101, they should have done something like have gameplay footage on the screen, but have this little box on the corner showing the gamepad and what you can do, so that way it will interact with the gameplay. So it's that would give actually people, a clear message as to what the gamepad can do, because that's one of the things that a lot of people are actually complaining, is whether or not the gamepad is necessary or not. I'll go into more detail later when we talk about what they need to do in order to get out of this sticky situation instead of, repeating the same mistakes again.
Right.
But for now,
I want to add.
But for now, we'll just continue on with this at the moment. But go ahead, Jerry. What did you want to add?
About the marketing, you guys are 100% spot on about that. What they also should have done was explain, hey kids, look what the gamepad can do, and you don't need a Wii. This is not an add-on.
Mm-hmm.
This is
I agree with you, because I really don't hate the name, but day one, and I'm not trying to sound I'm not being snide, but it's true. Right when it was announced day one on E3 2011, right when they said that their next generation console was called Wii U, that was a warning sign to me right there, because on one end, I understand why they continued with the Wii name. It's understandable because it was a very big and successful brand for Nintendo at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It still is too with the original Wii, but at the same time, this is your next-gen console, and with every iteration of your family brand, it should be treated as a different and new era.
Well, you also got to remember, Jeff, that with the NES, the Super Nintendo was the next thing. It was still part of the Nintendo Entertainment System brand, whereas Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance, they were all part of the Game Boy brand.
Oh,
Just like with Nintendo DS, you have the 3DS and the 2DS. That's still a part of the Nintendo DS brand, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just both sides are right. I see where you're coming from, but I think it was the naming of. Again, I don't hate the name, but I think that name confused a lot of people. Besides the marketing too,
it was very confusing.
Yeah.
For the especially for casual players.
Well, of course. So, and another thing I felt that was, that was really bad within that first full year is that I felt that, when they first got started, Nintendo banked on third parties to sell their system at first, and they hardly had any first-party games on there to begin with. I think that was a huge what was I wouldn't say a huge mistake, but I would say that's a mistake in general because they should have at least had half and half. Because in order to sell consoles, you got to, I mean, even at launch, you got to make sure that your first party lineup is still as strong, still as good as your third party lineup of what you have.
Agreed. Like both first party and third party should be strong. It should be one over the other. I agree.
That's the thing I felt.
Is a huge thing with Nintendo, yeah.
Well, that's a huge thing with, both, well, not only Nintendo, but with Sony and Microsoft in general. They need to have an equal amount of first-party titles along with third-party titles to show that they actually have a really strong, system, or just a platform in general.
True.
We do lots of games, not just one kind,
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. No, true.
I mean, seriously, what were the two first-party launch games that only came out at launch? It was Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Bros. U. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But, and we do know that on January 30th, 2014, that's when Nintendo's going to be having its corporate management policy briefing with investors and all that. And that's going to be a really interesting, news conference that's going to take place that day about how their current financial results are and how much sales did they make in the third quarter of the fiscal year. So, yeah, we'll definitely be keeping on the lookout for that. But, there are things that we do wish, to come into place, like a Nintendo Direct, just kind of ease everybody's fear.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would definitely give a lot of people, that would definitely ease their fears quite a lot. So that way they wouldn't, expect anything bad to happen. There may be bad, but there's got to be at least some shed of good in there. You know what I'm talking about?
So
yeah.
So basically, Nintendo needs to do what Wayne did in Wayne's World, where he started getting all mopey, and then all of a sudden he was like, "Oh, don't worry, everything's cool. See?"
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. Hey, Mr. Donut. Hey, Mr. Donut Head Man, who's trying to kill you? I don't know, but you better not. Oh gosh, I still remember that from the movie. But anyway. But it's not all. But we do not believe that this whole thing is really fatal towards Nintendo. No.
All.
They've been in a lot worse situations than this. The second time.
The Virtual Boy was doing good.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Virtual Boy was far worse than the Wii U, and the Wii U has sold. From what we know, it's sold over 5 million units, so it's still not bad. But But also at the same time, they still sold more within its first full year than the PS3. So that's a bit of a truth right there when you think about it. Well, if you take a look at the sales numbers like VG charts, even though that's not completely accurate,
right?
But it just gives you an idea that there still is a shed of hope for Nintendo to pull themselves out of this, like what they did with Nintendo 64 and the GameCube, in a sense, and like what they did with the 3DS. But anyway, we're going to go one at a time and give our own 2 cents on what we feel needs to be improved for Nintendo as of 2014, or what they can do to get them out of this loophole that they've been in, as of recent.
Right.
So who wants to go first?
Let's see, who would like to go first? I assume the host that's hosting this?
Okay, I'll go first. There's a lot of things that I expect, that I want Nintendo to do in order for them to get out of the situation. But I will, but for the record, I will go ahead and say that, this happens to everybody, all of us, you, me, and Jerry, Jeff. Me, Jerry, and Jeff. We're all guilty of this. We expect too much from somebody or something, or some company to actually do things either right or wrong. But we mostly want them to do things right, so that way they can actually, make sure that they still have it strong. Even though we still want to remain optimistic in the end.
Of course.
Now, what does Nintendo need to do in order to get themselves out of this predicament? Now, I did do a video on YouTube explaining some things about what Nintendo can do to get themselves out of this loophole. And I still feel that with the games, they still need to make sure that they're still going at it very strong with what they show, not only for this year but beyond that. I mean, what we know for the lineup as of 2014, as of right, for right now, is great. I mean, with Wii Fit U being released for this month of January, we also have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze coming out next month, and then after that we got the games like Mario Kart 8, Bayonetta 2, Monolith Soft's new game X, Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and Wii U. Hyrule Warriors, the collaboration between Nintendo and Tecmo Koei, Yarn Yoshi, and maybe, hopefully, Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, if that can make it. But, but for 3DS, I think it's safe to say that even though the system still is making Nintendo money, that it'll be okay as long as they keep bringing out the games like they did last year and even in 2012 as well. But, and even the Nintendo Directs are a good step in the right direction, but we just need to know more than just what is currently in development. I mean, it's okay to show off a few things that are that are initially in development, but when it comes to E3, show what else is coming out, like more than what we've seen with the Nintendo Directs. What else is going to come out for the Wii U? Like, are we going to see like a new Metroid or a new Star Fox or a new F-Zero or something new from Platinum Games? You know what I'm talking about? But also when talking about third-party developers or second-party developers, and as we said, Nintendo needs to have more of an incentive or more of an aggressive push to build up stronger relationships with third parties like Capcom, Square Enix, Konami, Sega. And all those, while they feel that the Wii U is really not that necessary. Well, but I will say, for the benefit of the doubt, that Japanese support for the Wii U is getting better. But I think that Western support needs to be strongly built upon more, because with the Wii U in the West, I mean, Western third-party developers have just given it the cold shoulder. I mean, games like BioShock Infinite and possibly Grand Theft Auto 5 could have made a significant impact for the Wii U. And I know Watch Dogs is coming out on all systems, including Wii U, so that must be a good thing. But how about some others, like, Bungie, or Destiny from Bungie, or even give the announcement of Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 from Square Enix, or maybe even Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 from Konami, or even a Tales game from Namco Bandai, or even, like, the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm game that's coming out. I mean, having games like the Monster Hunter franchise and most of the Sonic games appearing, on the Nintendo platforms is fine, but there's got to be more. But I know for a fact that Nintendo, when it comes to having third-party games onto their platforms that are either, multi-platform or exclusive, the third parties have to go under non-disclosure agreements. They can't really say a word about it until things are ready. But I think Nintendo needs to kind of let loose with that a bit, or at least give us, an early taste of what is all going to come out in the future for the system. Because I don't want, consumers to feel, they don't want to feel like they are feeling betrayed, or whatever, in terms of wanting certain games on it. But, that's one thing that I would like to see them do. And, And speaking of games like Star Fox, F-Zero, and Metroid, I know they don't sell as well as Mario and Zelda and Pokemon, but I think they need to get some of those games out there and have something new. Like, take the approach of what they did with Metroid Prime, or what Retro Studios did with Metroid Prime. Take that risk with something different, because, some of those risks can either make or break a game. Metroid Prime on the GameCube actually made the GameCube actually do really well and managed to get in some really strong sales for that system, because it was something new and something that actually worked for the Metroid franchise. And also, big thing, Nintendo needs to get on the ball with getting more of the Virtual Console games on there. We talked about this before. They need to get those titles that are on the Nintendo 64, the Game Boy Advance, GameCube, or even some other ones as well, like Game Boy Color, or even some of the Nintendo DS games, or some of its competitors like TurboGrafx 16, TG16 CD, Neo Geo Pocket, even just whatever. I mean, that was, with the Wii, it was a really big incentive for people to buy the system because of the Virtual Console, where they can actually play the old classics. That was a huge deal. So, if Nintendo took the initiative to monopolize the retro market and getting some of those games that didn't make it the Virtual Console the first time and build upon what they had the first time, or getting them on the Wii U, then they'd easily make a killing. I mean, we had games like Earthbound, which was brand new for the Wii U. I mean, for the Virtual Console, and that was a huge deal. But you have to admit that for 2013, the lineup of games for the Virtual Console on the Wii U and the 3DS has been abysmal.
Oh yeah.
So there's got to be more than just that. I mean, what about games like what would be some good games to release, like Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Mega Man X3, Illusion of Gaia, the original Star Fox, Donkey Kong 64, ActRaiser 2, Terranigma, Castlevania Dracula X, Sparkster, or the Rocket Knight Adventures games that were on the Sega Genesis as well, or even localize some of those imports from Japan that we never got the first time around, like the Super Nintendo versions of Tales of Phantasia, Star Ocean, or get the original Earthbound Zero and Mother 3 on there. That would drive people to buy the system.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, those for me personally, those are a lot of things that I would like to see Nintendo do. Now, granted, do I feel that they're gonna do all those? No, but could it be possible that they'll do them in in time? Probably, but it's just if they want to get themselves out of this predicament, then they really need to push themselves and know that when it comes to the Wii U and 3DS, that they're in competition with their competitors. They have to know why the Wii U is just as important than the PS4 and the Xbox One. And on Sony's case, they need to explain why the PS Vita is just as important as the 3DS. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on what I believe Nintendo needs to do within not only this year, but within the coming months, in the coming years after 2014 as well. So who would like to go next?
Jerry, do you want to go next? Because I feel like going last on this one, to be honest.
If you want, alright.
Alright.
Alright, so Kyle already mentioned Virtual Console, which is something I was gonna mention. He already brought up some points about that. What I would like to see to add to it, because that's the first thing that came to my mind, was even Pat the NES Punk said this, and he's huge into collecting old retro games. He was saying that paying $5 for Super Mario Brothers and $8 for Super Mario World is kind of much.
It is kind of much.
I think they should at least. I'll still buy them, but I know Super Mario World is there, and I wanted to buy it, and I was thinking $8 though.
But here's the thing: if you had it on the Wii the first time around, then you get that what was it, 80% discount? So it would be like $1.50 to buy it again for the Wii.
I had on the Wii. All I had on the Wii, which I didn't have anywhere at all. I didn't have the Wii when I got the Wii U.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, okay, you want new people to get... Let's go, just buy our Virtual Console stuff at these prices, though. The import, like you said, import, I wouldn't mind paying those kind of prices, though.
Well, of course, and they have gotten... Now, I mean, they did have some imports, like Super Mario Brothers 2, the real one.
Oh, Lost Levels, yeah.
Yeah, the Lost Levels.
The true
but,
two.
And they even got... the original Rondo of Blood that was on the TG16 CD or the PC Engine that was in Japan. They even got that out in the West as an import for the Virtual Console,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they should build upon that more. And if they want to, I'd say it'd probably be... It should be okay to maybe have a team to localize those games for... for the Virtual Console, if they wanted to get them out for the first time around for the the Western market. Like, as I mentioned, Tales of Phantasia or even Star Ocean, the originals that were on the Super Famicom.
Brought a box.
To continue, since that was just the first thing I wanted to bring up. I have plenty more to say.
Uh-huh.
Now, I heard some people mentioning that Nintendo should just cut their losses, stop with the Wii U, and just go straight to the next console.
Okay,
and I was like, no way.
No
way. You know why?
And Jerry...
I would be so mad Because I
Jerry-
just bought the Wii U.
Jerry, I'm sorry to interrupt you, man, but I've also got to make a point on this, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
People who say that Nintendo needs to drop the Wii U, that I don't know if you're smoking crack or what, but that is a horrible idea as of right now. Because if they did that right now, and if they made another next-gen console, what does that tell you? That means Nintendo is going the route of Sega, and they would, make people start losing faith in them.
Exactly.
And Rich of Review Tech USA, even Alpha Omega, I'm not sure if Alpha Omega Sin brought this up, but Chugga Conroy from YouTube on his Facebook, he even brought this up. If Nintendo went with their next console, if they made a new next-gen console and just dropped the Wii U, that would give their consumers a bad message. That means they would, make their customers lose faith in them, like what Sega did with all those add-ons for the Sega Genesis and even Sega Saturn and the Sega Dreamcast, essentially. And even Pactor brought that up, and I cannot believe that Pactor would bring up something like that, because that is just ridiculous.
Exactly, because, consumers who just bought the Wii U, they'd feel like, what?
Yeah, they
feel
feel betrayed.
Yeah, betrayed, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'd feel. It's like, I just bought this, and already I need to know. Forget it. I'd be like, forget it, Nintendo.
But it does bring up a good question, the way you just said. Yeah, it's true if they just announced, like, at E3 this year or even next year that they're already, cooking up the successor to the Wii U.
Uh-huh.
However, this does bring up in perspective, with this going on and at the launch of the Wii U itself, is the Wii U going to have a long, healthy lifespan of a console, or is it going to have somewhat of a shorter one, akin to what happened with GameCube?
That's very, it's kind of hard to say at this moment, because it's still, it's just still past its first full year. It's already in its second. So it's kind of hard to say.
Exactly, but I think that is a good thing to bring up.
Oh, of course.
Like that I think that is understandable to bring up, but Nintendo to release the next gen console right now, I think that would be idiotic of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, there is someone I know who said that specific. I was about to call him out, but I was like, no, never. I won't.
Yeah.
The person who said that they should just do that, I'm like, no. Now, what I think they should do instead of that is what they did with the 3DS. Not the price cut part, but the more software that we want part. Okay, so do everything they can. I don't know what they can do. Kyle, you probably know more about what they can do specifically, but try and appeal to the third parties and get some more games on there.
I would say if they're gonna do that, they need to be either more aggressive and let the third parties know, we're just as important as our competition, and we definitely and heavily endorse you to release your games on our platforms. Don't worry about Mario and Zelda. We really want you to actually do well. But, if you're going to continue with this belief that you think that people only want their Marios and Zeldas, then you're only giving us a bad image.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, yeah, exactly. But, or two, if third parties are still going to be adamant about not bringing their games for the system, then I think what Nintendo needs to do is they need to take that approach with what they did during the Nintendo 64 days and have like a team of people who know how to program games for the Wii U very, very well, and get some of those third-party games that, third parties are not willing to make a port for, and, have them make the ports for the Wii U for them, for Nintendo. Like, the correct games that people want. I know people really want games like Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Wii U, and I really do see those games working, with or without DirectX 11, even though the Wii U is capable of, can handle DirectX 11 capabilities, but, just not fully. But there are other things aside from DirectX 11 that they can, substitute for it. I mean, and even, they can even use other things to substitute over x86, systems or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Or 3, what was the other one? Those were two, but I think the third one is that they would need to, form, get aggressive and form more partnerships to make at least either, games from current franchises exclusive for the Wii U, or help them work on new IPs together. I could see those three options working, because they need to do at least something to rectify the third-party situation.
Agreed.
I mean, it's fine that they have indie developers, which I'm all proud of, and I'm all for, the indie developers that are being, that backed up the system as much as the PS4. I'm really looking forward to Shovel Knight on the Wii U eShop and the 3DS eShop, and it comes out very soon. I'm really looking forward to Doug TenNapel's new game, Armacrog. I'm really looking forward to, what's another indie game that's coming out for...
Shantae.
Well, is that really... Could we really consider that as an indie game?
Well, to be fair, I mean, it is coming out... I mean, yeah, it was a funded game by their fans through Kickstarter, but at the same time, it's also a self-published game by them, i.e. Way Forward.
Oh, okay.
So I guess in a sense, yes, it's still considered indie if you do self-publication.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm even looking forward to others, like Cryamore, for instance. And,
yeah.
And even, Mighty Number 9, which comes out next year.
Oh, God.
That just got a preview in Game Informer.
Yes.
In the latest Game Informer.
Yeah, so there's plenty of indie love coming for the Wii U eShop and the 3DS eShop. So that I'm all fine with that, but for third parties, you got to admit that they have more money than an indie developer, and some of their games can actually be really beneficial for the system.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need a repeat of what happened with the Capcom 5 deal, even though it was a really good idea. Yeah. But take a look at how bad Capcom treated that situation.
Agreed.
If there's anything else I want to add before, what else can Nintendo do? Well, when they do make their next console, I think I don't think it should be now at all. No. we already just went into detail.
I think they are, obviously, like any
well, they are, obviously, but we won't be able to know that until the next few years.
Hopefully at 2016 or 2017 at best.
We already talked about it. Let's say, but the thing that when they do it, I would like it to be something that plays their strength. I mentioned off camera, and I'm mentioning here, like a hybrid type.
But if they were to do a hybrid, would it be like in the vein of the DS or the 3DS, or something completely different?
Well, I think it would be like the Neo Geo X, but actually works, where you can bring it with you, and then it has an HDMI port.
Or more vain, the NVIDIA Shield.
Yeah. Where it has like this thing you could connect it to, and bam, it's connected to your TV like a console.
You mean something like, have all the functions of a console within, like, say the Wii U gamepad, where you can put in discs and all that. Yeah, I could see that possibly working out, as a possibility, but, it's kind of hard to figure out what the new innovation is going to be in the next few years.
True.
Because when it comes to Nintendo, you got to remember, they're always a company that innovates with new ideas, and a lot of people like to call those ideas as gimmicks, and that's kind of a, discriminating terms at times.
Should they continue to do that, or should they? Because some people also said, like, enough with the gimmicks, just make something good, or should they continue to think of new ways to?
Well, to me, I would like to see them continue, because it really saddens me that people don't like, the ideas or the initiative that Nintendo is currently under with how consumers can interact with their games, essentially.
Oh, well, I understand where you're coming from, Kyle, but at the same time, it also brings up to the fact of what the third-party and shovelware publishers and developers have done those gimmick ideas. Like, for example, and this is obviously
flooded with.
Exactly. Like, I'm worried that same thing's gonna happen to Wii U. Like, okay, we're not saying it now, but what happens if it happens down the road that you can't even use the traditional? It's mostly through the gamepad itself, like the touchscreen, or I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, it really. I think where I feel for Nintendo in that regard, they need to. I wouldn't mind if they were still gimmick laden, but at the same time, what they were doing with the Wii U, have it as an option, not as a full-fledged thing, like a demand. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I could see that working. I mean, I definitely see that working. I mean, it's okay to have it, but don't like shove it down your throat. Like
that's how
exactly. Yeah,
I didn't think about that, Jeff. That's
You know, and I know a lot.
Compromise.
And I know a lot of people say that the Wii U gamepad is a gimmick. I could see that being 50-50 because I actually see that working about half the time. Like
it really consists of who's developing it. Like if they have a unique idea, good. But if they don't want to use the gamepad and just do like a quick port, you have the Game Pro. You have the Pro controller. You can use that. Plain and simple.
Which brings me up to my next point. You know, a lot of people say that Nintendo should get rid of the gamepad or make it an accessory. Do you believe that? Do you agree with that or no?
I don't.
Here's the thing. I think it would be good cost-wise if they took out and just made an SKU that did not have the gamepad included. Like if they made it as an option,
you can runnable without it because a lot of menus say you need a gamepad. And I'm like,
see, that's the thing. Like I think if they were going to go that way, they have to do a lot of OS updates. Because
if they do it that way, then fine.
Yeah.
But that's why I was saying no. I'm like, oh hey, I got this without the game. Oh crap, I can't.
Exactly. Like I think that would be a smart move. And one thing I hope that Nintendo would announce. You know what I mean? Like I don't hate the gamepad, but it would be nice to have an option where I can turn the gamepad, the system on without the gamepad. You know, sign my password without using the gamepad with the controller and just getting it through that way. Or even playing most of the games that are the current catalog without the gamepad support. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like an actual option instead of like not for Nintendo's sake, but from how it was designed, being forced to use as the main controller. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, Jeff. But on my end, I really don't think it would be wise to do that because when you take a look at the gamepad, that's like what represents
the selling point is. I get that. Yeah,
the selling point because. You know, if you got rid of that, then you just make it a generic console like, you know, your competitors. It's okay to be different from the competition.
Oh, of course, yes. I'm not saying that isn't the case. It is, but at the same time, you know, with the cost, I think it'll be best instead of having like what we had at launch. What Nintendo should have done is to have one that was with the gamepad in a game, and then there was a SKU that just came with the console itself.
Hmm.
I think that's what they should have done, to be honest, because let's face facts. Getting that new system for $350, it's kind of a little too steep on my end, because let's face it, if the gamepad included, which was probably an additional $100, it probably would have been $250 at launch without the gamepad itself, you know what I mean?
But the thing is, what it just really baffles me is that people complain that even the Wii U in its current price point is too expensive, but they're willing to pay much more for both the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't understand.
Well, that's what we call fanboys.
Of course. But it's not just fanboys, it's also
I get what you're saying, yeah.
It's also the general consumer as well.
And that's the thing where it's sad, but, you know, this is why I think people are going back and forth when they say, like, Nintendo's relevant, Nintendo isn't relevant. They're in that weird, not to me, not to you, nor Jerry, any of us in this call, or even people who still love Nintendo, think they're relevant. But I think the consensus of why we hear this mixed reaction, because I think that's what the general consumer thinks these days. They're in that gray area between relevant and irrelevant in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why Nintendo is in this particular situation to begin with.
Wow.
Go ahead, Jeff. What are your...
Yeah, go ahead and give your 2 cents.
How should they fix themselves?
Well, one thing I said, I think that'll be a good move if they want to, you know, do that instead of what they did at launch, of what we just talked about. Another thing I would like to see them do, if there's one thing I wish Nintendo did, especially with the money that they received from not only the Wii during its like legendary run and also the DS, I wish they invested more and created an ecosystem, kind of like what Sony did when they first created both Sony Computer Entertainment America and Sony Computer of Europe. Like, get the best of those teams from those respective developers and sort of assimilate them into Nintendo, like build their own ecosystem so they can have more games. Because let's face facts, while these games that we got were good, there's always that gap, that long gap that we have to wait. That it's really tedious, and I think that's one thing that could help them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this goes into one thing too. And if they want, that's one thing I'm hoping that they say at the Nintendo Direct, if there is going to be one, or most likely the investors mean. I think that'll be a really wise decision on their move, to be honest, because they definitely do need more support. If that's not the case, I still think they need to buy more studios to get that soft out.
Like Platinum Games, Sega, or Capcom?
Like I said last night, I think that'll be an amazing idea, and it would bring a lot of hopefulness back to their consumers and their fan base in the company if they picked up someone like Platinum. Or, like I said before, I would rather see them as a third party, but with the current situation that they're in, I wouldn't mind if Capcom became an exclusive over at Nintendo, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they need someone to show them, like, hey, we're listening to you guys. We understand where you're coming from, and here's something that shows we're listening to you. You know what I mean?
Here's something, and here's a bit of a surprise for you. We have Mega Man Legends 3 coming to the Wii U.
Exactly! That would sell systems!
Yeah.
Or, like they did with Sega, like, make it a partnership with a big developer or publisher and do, like, a 3-game deal exclusive to their system.
Like what they're doing. Like what they're doing with Sonic right now.
Yeah, that's what I said. Sega, yes. I mean, like, for example, like, okay, like, say for example, if they made a deal with Team Ninja and they made a 3-game deal exclusive for their current console, the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I think it'd be a smart idea to, for them to get something like DOA 5 Ultimate, but make it like a Wii U version, kind of like similar like Namco did at launch with
Tekken Tag 2.
Yeah, exactly. Release Ninja Gaiden 4 exclusive for Wii U. That would sell a lot of units when that game would come out, if that ever happened. And I know this will be a lot skeptical, but there's two options for this one if that actually happened. Over M2, and I know a lot of people didn't like it, but that would be a smart move because, let's face it, we need a new Metroid game. And
we do. And Other M wasn't a bad game, but if they did a sequel,
Right.
they could do better.
Or even more of a shocker besides Over M2, a collaboration between them and the main Nintendo team that's overseen by Anuma to do the main new Zelda title for Wii U. Like, that would be big. And I think that would actually make more sense because, let's face facts, when you think of Team Ninja, they're more heavy emphasis on, like, crazy swordplay action rather than something in the vein of Metroid. You know what I mean?
Kind of maybe take that approach with what Vigil does with Darksiders, or what they did with Darksiders, essentially.
Exactly. Like I said, I think they need to really emphasize more, and I think they need to make a lot of partnerships. I know Iwata said this last year too, and I believe him, but he needs to really show. He needs to be really vigilant in getting third-party support, like mad third-party support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also goes to the structure of the Nintendo Directs. Like, I like the structure, but here's the thing. Like, for example, last year, like last year's Nintendo Direct at this time, when we had all this big, awesome, really cool news, it should have been better structured because I feel like everything was announced right then and there. And right when we came to E3, it felt like, oh, here's the game we showed you, but a little bit more. Please stay tuned. You know what I mean? It felt like it was good, but it wasn't really that earth-shattering feeling that we would like to see from Nintendo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of things too that I think Nintendo really needs to work on. Like, I want to believe Iwata, I really do, and it sounds like he really is being as humble as he can, but I need to see improvements. I really do. Like, I want to believe them, but from the faults they had in the past, it sounds really snide to me, but it's the truth. I need to see proof.
I totally see where you're coming from, Jeff. I mean, you're not that more faithful to Nintendo than I am, and it totally understands, to have that sentimentality.
Yeah, because like what we said, if Nintendo announced the next gen console right now, it would lose a lot of the fan base. But what they're doing right now is kind of like in the same sense of what they've been doing. You know what I mean? I think it's fine to be secretive, but in regards to your repertoire for your consumers, it's not that bad to let them know what you're planning to do.
Yeah.
Like what you said last time when we were talking off mic. I think they need to announce some games beforehand. Not say, oh, they're coming out soon. I'm just saying, like, announce a couple games are coming out next year so they would know that your system will be still alive the following year.
Yes.
So they can look something forward to. I mean, let's face facts. We haven't heard anything about what's going on with freaking Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem since this time last year.
Or Yarn Yoshi, for that matter.
Oh, we don't even know what that third
Sonic game.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Going back to what it was, I think that game should be Sonic Adventure 3, because I know a lot of people don't want it, but I know there's a good selective handful of people who want it, and I think that would sell units of the console, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they need games that need to sell the units that they want. And that's the thing, like we were going about earlier. It's fine to have third-party content, but you need to have content from third parties that really show that, hey, we can compete with the big dogs. What I'm saying, what the big dogs are being. Exactly.
And we have games that can compete with Mario and Zelda.
And I'm sorry, but I found it a little hypocritical when Iwata says, "Oh, we don't want to compete with the other two," but right when you said that we're not winning, that's really kind of a mixture response from the CEO.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need
it's
very mixed signals you're sending us, Iwata.
Like, here's the thing. I'm sorry, but there's one thing they need to do. They need to compete. I'm not saying go back to what they were like in the 80s and 90s with their marketing, because that would not work in today's standards.
No.
In advertising, but they need to be inspired from that to see how they can compete with the other big two.
Yeah.
They need to do that desperately, because how they're doing it right now, they're not a kiddie-ish company, but the image that they're having, it is somewhat hurting them. I'm not saying with all of us, but I'm saying with the consensual idea it is.
I wouldn't mind if they kind of went back to that whole now you're playing with power fad.
Exactly.
Because I thought that was actually a really strong point for their products back then.
Because let's face facts, the current marketing that they have for the Wii U, and especially the 3DS, it is not helping them. It's actually broadening that idea that they're just a kiddie image. Like, it's fine to have that image. I mean, look at Disney. But at the same time, there's a difference between having a kiddie image and having an all-age.
Mm-hmm.
Like an all-age demographic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think Nintendo needs to do, and I'm really hoping, out of all odds, they really listen to what they need to do. Because here's the thing, it's fine to have... I understand they do a lot for Japan because that's their native country.
Yeah, their strong market.
But here's the thing, America is a strong company too.
I was thinking about that yesterday, Jeff.
Europe is a big company too, and if I know they don't care about, I know they do care about us, but they need to show that they listen to us and do care about our feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, yeah, that's true. I was thinking about that exact thing yesterday about Nintendo needing to show, like, they can, if they just focused, like you said, they do care. If they just show that,
mm-hmm.
you know, that not only in Japan but Americans grew up with you too.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, yeah. I was thinking about that yesterday. I just thought that was a very good idea. I mean, a good point to make.
And my last point, I love Mario, I love Zelda, and I love Kirby, but they have all these other vast, beloved IPs that have been dead for years. They need to revive.
F-Zero.
No, not that. But what about again? It wasn't created by them, but it was a beloved exclusive published title by Nintendo. What about Eternal Darkness? They still have the trademark. You know, it'd be a good idea. I know there's been a lot of controversy in regards to Progressor Games, the successor to
about Shadow of the Eternals.
Yeah, you know what? Pick that game up, call it Eternal Darkness 2, Shadows of the Eternals. That would sell systems right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what? Dennis Dyack really wanted that game to be on the Wii U, but with the whole crap that happened with the controversy and also with the failed
Kickstarter
campaigns, yeah, it may not happen, but I think that'll be a smart move and an initiative that would show that their fan base, like around the age range as not only myself and you guys, but also the younger, around their tweens and teen demographic, that they say, hey, we care about you guys. Here's a game that we think that would really entice you and want to sell our system.
Yeah. Or, here's another game that they could potentially revive that would bring the series to the first in life for the first time with the US, even though it was introduced to the US in Nintendo Land. But how about a new installment of the mysterious Murasame Castle?
Oh yeah,
with Takamaru or whatever his name is. Make a hack and slash out of that.
And that's the thing too. I think it's funny because a lot of people, that would be great too.
I want a new Legend of Mystical Ninja or Legend.
That
of
would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: I know a lot of people don't want to see Nintendo copy their competition, but you know what? It'll be interesting to see Nintendo make their own unique first-person shooter. I remember, years ago when Shigeru Miyamoto said that he can make as great of a first-person shooter as Halo. I would like to see him put his money where his mouth is, because I would love to see that, to be honest. That would be awesome.
But do you honestly think that's his new IP he's working on?
No, but I'd like to see something like that. I'd really be intrigued to see Miyamoto make his own first-person shooter. And what I mean, they don't have to copy, paste, and paste copy word for word like what other developers do with their unique brown realistic shooters. No, I'm saying something completely different. Like, I don't want to say this is a sample, but look at something like what EA and People Can Fly did with Bulletstorm. You know what I mean? Like, it was over the top, it was bloody, it was like something that came out from my childhood, from the 90s, when first-person shooters just started. Take inspiration for that, but make it your own spin and uniqueness, that unique take that Nintendo fans and that niche audience would love, you know what I mean? Like, take these genres that most of these third-party developers and these diehard fans from both Microsoft and Sony camps would love, like new platformers, new racers that not like in the sense of like Gran Turismo or Forza, but more of a unique spin that will really entice people to try the new unit out from Nintendo. You know what I mean? Because I think that's what Nintendo really needs to do. They need to look at the competition, but put their own unique spin on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
No, that's it from me. Anything else? Any closing thoughts, or are we all set?
I don't think anything else is from me. Jerry, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, just I asked about if the Wii was making a profit, because get this, even though the Vita's hardware sales have been low too, Sony's actually making a profit. You know why?
Really?
Software sales. People, they did a strange thing where I heard this, that strangely enough, people who have Vitas have a disproportionate amount of software sales compared to other hardware, other consoles, and I'm like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, they should do what Nintendo. They should do what we said Nintendo should do, and tell us why we need this.
Now, before
more than as a PS4 second screen.
Now, before we end off this episode, we'll end it off on this high note. Like we said before, we still are optimistic about the future of Nintendo. We want to remain that way and not remain pessimistic. And what we've seen, as we said, what we've seen with 2014 thus far in terms of content, it's great. But we just hope that, Nintendo, you take some consideration into what we all believe, and hopefully you can improve upon the mistakes that you made in 2013. And we know that this year is definitely going to be a great year for your system. We definitely know that for sure because of the games. But continue to surprise us. Let us know that you are just as ambitious of a competitor as much as your competition, and definitely let the consumers know that that the Wii brand is still relevant in this day and age. Let them know that that Nintendo, you have the power to actually be competitive as your competition, and that you can sell your system in the 3DS. I mean, what you're doing with the 3DS is great, but with the Wii U, try to find that. Continue working on trying to find that, that spot to where you can actually let them know that it's just as important as the 3DS.
Yeah.
So, actually, there was one thing that's more appropriate.
I agree. There's one thing I like to know too, but continue, man.
About having hope. The fact that Iwata even admitted that they need to do some changes.
Oh, yeah.
That is really good, because Japanese companies usually are, even if we're doing bad,
stubborn.
They are very stubborn. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm very happy that they're saying that they're going to need to change.
Yeah. And if there's one thing I think that Nintendo needs to listen to, whenever they get to fully conceptualizing their next generation console, whether it be the 3DS or more importantly the successor to the Wii U, I think what Pete Hines of Bethesda, VP marketing, said best. I know there's a lot of negativity, but he did have points. I think they need to start right when they start doing that. I think they need to go to third parties and ask them like what they were to see from the specs, from what they were showing with their unique controller, whether it be unique or more traditional. They need to be more open to these third party developers right from the get go and at starting points, and ask them like, what would you like to see? What can we improve upon? What IP do you think would best sell with our new hardware?
It worked for the PS4.
Yeah.
That's what Sony did. They went to the third parties and asked them, what do you think of our controller? What do you...
Yes. And I think they can start doing that with the Wii U. I'm saying not do a big revision for the Wii U. I am not saying that.
No.
They're fine with the Wii U as it is, but I think that mentality needs to start today.
Yes. So, Nintendo, here's to 2014, and like we said, we'll keep you in our thoughts, and hopefully you will have a better year this year and beyond that.
Yep.
Stay gold, Nintendo. Stay gold. And with that out of the way, I think it's finally time that we end off this episode of Riff Table Arcade. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, we all hope you enjoyed this episode, and to sign off, I am Double RPG.
I'm 16-Bit Jeff.
And I'm FighterXaos.
Any plugs before we go?
You can follow me on Twitter at 16-Bit Jeff. Just to let you guys know, yes, my YouTube channel is alive and kicking. It's just there's no content as of this moment, but rest assured, in the next couple months it will be full of content. So stay tuned. You can find my channel at youtube.com/16bitjeff.
All right, and Jerry?
I don't know. My YouTube is gonna have stuff, but where you can find me on, where I'm active, is Tumblr. Go to ikariradio.tumblr.com. That's IKARIRADIO.tumblr.com. And I'll talk about giant robots.
He's still the Tokusatsu fan.
Yeah.
Also, that's the same as my Twitter. Same name.
Nice. And for me, I do hope to get back in line with getting more content out. I mean, I had a video up about, the whole thing of what we talked about today. I had that up for about a few days ago. You can check it out on Double RPG Reviews. And I'm going to try to get back on track with the Wonderful 101 because I still want to do that Let's Play in full. I mean, it's been kind of hard for me being on track with that game since the holidays, and as of now trying to get back, with my life and that kind of stuff. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, and on Double RPG Game Riffers Solo as well. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, Double RPG Reviews. You can find me on there. And hopefully I can get back on track with the new Super Mario Bros. U review as well. Because I do want to get on with something new in terms of reviewing a game and whatever.
Yeah.
But definitely be on the lookout for that as well. And as we said, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Happy 2014, and we'll hopefully get some more Game Riffers episodes up in the future. But definitely be on the lookout for us on the Game Riffers here on our YouTube channel. And we will definitely see you next time for another exciting episode of the Riff Table Arcade. We'll see you guys later, and stay gold.
See ya.
Bye-bye.